It's the Gear Tester here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about my experience with and my feelings about the MSR Whisperlite International Camp Stove. You may be wondering what exactly you get when you purchase the MSR Whisperlite International Stove. When you spend your hard-earned money, what do you get for that price? And you're looking at the four major components which you receive when you purchase the Whisperlite International Stove. You get a great little stuff sack that protects and helps you keep all this stuff together. You get the MSR standard pump, standard fuel pump. You get the actual stove. And then you get some little bonus features, some little additional things here. One of the things you're going to get is a little maintenance kit. It has a little wrench that allows you to maintain your stove. It has some little pump oil that comes with it, again maintenance. And then you get another little nozzle. This is a little brass nozzle. And one of the cool things about the Whisperlite International stove is it allows you to use white gas, kerosene, and unleaded gas. You're able to use all those liquid fuel bases to power this stove. But it's set up as it comes for white gas, and that's what I use in my stove. But with the addition of that little nozzle, you're able to use the kerosene and the unleaded gas. You also then get, in with those little bonuses, you get these two little heat shields. This is a circular one. When you fold it out, it goes underneath the stove, and this goes around the stove. So you basically get those four sets of components: the stuff sack, the standard MSR pump, a stove pump, and you also get the stove and then the bonus feature. So that's what you get when you purchase the stove. One thing that you're going to need to purchase in addition to the stove and the components that come with it is going to be a MSR fuel bottle, and of course the fuel to go in it. So you're going to be about $20, $25, $30 more. Add that to the price as you look at these prices wherever you're looking at it, whether that's online or at a brick and mortar store. Realize you're also going to need to get the fuel bottle and the fuel that's going to go into it. Another thing you're going to want to be really careful about is making sure that you have your knob, your adjustment knob for how much fuel is going through this pipe out of the canister. You're going to want that up, not pointed down into the ground. Now we're going to start pumping and pressurizing the canister some here. Just a few pumps. And what we're trying to do is just build up some pressure. Now, the number of pumps you're going to have to do to get this to work is going to be dependent on how much fluid you have in this bottle. If there's a lot of fluid, you're not going to have to pump it so much to pressurize it. As the fluid, as you use your liquid fluid, there's going to be less and less fluid, and you're going to have to pump it more. But we've just pumped it a few times in order to get a little bit of pressure there, because we want just a little bit of fuel to run out here into the fuel cup, because you have to prime the Whisperlite International stove. And what that means is we just need a little bit of fuel there into that fuel cup, and you'll learn through trial and error. You purchase this stove, what works and what doesn't. We're just going to open that up a little bit and put a little bit of fuel there. You can hear it running out. And what the priming process is going to do is it's going to get the stove hot, and it's going to heat up this tube here. And what that does is, as the stove gets hot, it turns your liquid fuel into a gas as it enters the hot tubing there, and then it allows you to actually use the stove. So we'll light that here, and we'll just let it burn off. And that's going to take a couple minutes, but you see right there, not a problem at all. This is a stove. This stove does a lot, and it's a good stove, but it's not a stove that I would want to use in a tent or in a building unless there was a lot of space and really good ventilation, and you put something under this stove that's going to help it not burn whatever it's on top of. And you can see there, I probably over-primed the stove. I put a little bit too much in there. But as this burns down, then you will pump this some more. And I'm just going to turn the video off now, and we'll pop back once I get the stove fully primed out, once it gets fully warmed up and we get it running. Alright, so I had to kind of do that priming process again a couple times here, and now you can see there's a little bit of a blue flame there. And we can turn this stove up, and we are now cooking with gas. As you can see, I'm just gonna put some water in a pot here and get that going, boiling a little bit, and then let's talk about my experience with the Whisperlite International stove from MSR. I like this stove. I've owned it for over 4 years, close to 4 years, maybe a little bit less than 4 years. And I actually got it when my wife and I were engaged to get married. We registered at REI, and that was cool because we got a number of camping equipment items that we probably wouldn't have purchased ourselves. A lot of times when you're getting married, people register at all kinds of different stores, and people purchase things for you as wedding gifts that are great items to help you set up your home. But it was cool to get some items that were just fun, some camping items, things that were different than blenders and toasters and sheets. And that was a really cool experience. So I've had this stove for almost 4 years. And I have been happy with it in many ways. It's a good stove. It is very durable. It's going to be more expensive to purchase. You're going to pay about $100 for it when you get it. And it's going to be more expensive than many other stoves. But it uses the liquid fuel, and it has a range of fuels it can use. And that means that your initial buy-in is more expensive, but as you use the stove, you save money. Another stove from MSR that I have used quite a bit is the MSR Pocket Rocket. And you can see that here. And I really like the Pocket Rocket. But each of these canisters is about $5, you know, and $10 will buy you a lot of white gas. And although I keep a number of these on hand, you're going to pay out as you use this Pocket Rocket. You're going to pay for the fuel at a greater cost per ounce than you do when you buy the white gas. So that's just something to consider. Another thing, and this for me is actually the reason I own this stove. With the Whisperlite International stove, it's basically all the way on or all the way off. You cannot really control the amount of heat that's on there. And at initially bringing that problem up, you may not recognize it as a major problem. But it becomes a major problem if you are wanting to actually cook and you're not just using items like these the Mountain House meals. You're basically just putting hot water in and then cooking in the bag, right? You're just basically rehydrating the food. Or other meals, like this is just another example of the same basic idea from Coleman. If you're not just cooking like this, you're not just rehydrating, you're just adding hot water and then zipping up a package. If you're actually trying to cook, let's say you are trying to saute some vegetables, mushrooms, got some garlic in the frying pan and some onion, and you're making a nice meal. The Whisperlite International is not super good at that because either super high heat or it's basically off. And you can do different things. I see other people playing around with this and basically holding the pot up off so they can allow some of that heat to bleed off. But it doesn't do a good job of simmering, okay? And that becomes a problem if you want to do more cooking and less just eating a pre-packaged stuff that you're just adding water to. And so that's why I own the MSR Pocket Rocket. $40. My water's boiling here, and we'll turn the stove down. You can see there I'm turning it down, and it's really died down. Okay, but you can, it's still quite hot. If you try and, you see, now it's going to go off. There is not, you see that? That's about as low as I can get it, and that's full power. So there is a difference there, but the amount of heat that it's putting out, it is hard to simmer like a stew or a soup that you're cooking. I find that it's really easy to burn stuff, and that's why I own, we'll just turn it off for now. That's why I own the Pocket Rocket, is because when it comes to wanting to be able to simmer food, or when it comes to wanting to be able to saute vegetables and things and do real cooking out on the trail, I use the Pocket Rocket to kind of substitute where the MSR Whisperlite International doesn't work as well. I also use the pocket rocket when you can see I've got to kind of prime it, and it's got to kind of burn that off when I'm just wanting like a hot drink early in the morning, or maybe late at night and the fire's died down. We've put the food and Whisperlite International away. Then I bust out the pocket rocket and I can instantly have a hot drink in a matter of seconds. So these working well together really complement each other because I save on my fuel costs, and this is very light. But if I'm going just as 1 or 2 individuals, I'll usually just take my MSR pocket rocket. But if I'm cooking for more individuals, and we're not really being careful about how we cook. We're wanting to have a lot more hot water. You know, we've got a lot more dishes. People aren't just using one dish. This is really nice to have the heat up hot water, to get a big pot of hot water going so you can wash and clean things up and do other things. Really, I think the Whisperlite International was designed to work well at high elevation and in situations where you're needing to really boil large amounts of water for either making it potable, allowed to drink it, making sure it's safe, or in the case where you're melting large amounts of snow to make water. You're up on a mountain, for instance. And that's where stoves like the MSR Pocket Rocket, these pre-pressured stoves, or canisters, do not work as well at elevation, whereas I'm able to control the amount of pressure. I just pump it up more. It's just a few more pumps, and it still works. And the flexibility of fuels that I can use. You get up to a place way out in the boondocks and you park your car and you get ready to hike in for a 4 or 5 day backpacking trip, and then you realize you forgot fuel. You're able to just take the fuel right out of your car, switch out the nozzle, and it's going to work just fine for you. So this is a very flexible system. It does produce a huge amount of heat. My problem is sometimes it produces too much heat. Don't overestimate that reality, that could be cause problems for you if you're trying to do things like fry an egg or saute vegetables or simmer a soup and kind of really stew it and make it delicious. That may become a little more difficult with the Whisperlite International. You can fix that problem by just adding $40 in a canister and adding to your equipment the pocket rocket. But if you're looking at a one stove option, just realize that this stove does have some limitations in terms of being able to control the variable amount of heat. It's really all the way on or basically off. So that's just something to think about as you consider purchasing your MSR Whisperlite International stove. I don't want to have made you feel like you should not purchase the MSR Whisperlite International stove. But I want you, as my viewers and subscribers, part of my goal is to produce quality video reviews, and part of a quality video review is telling you both the good, the bad, and the ugly about a particular item. And the fact that it's hard to simmer and it's hard to have low heat, and basically impossible with the Whisperlite International, is something you need to know about. If you're really worried about that and you want to not be the stingy man who pays the most, i.e. you don't want to be the person that has to keep buying more and more things to try and fix a problem that could have been avoided, one option is to buy the MSR Dragonfly stove, which is very similar to the International stove, but it has the ability to control the amount of fuel coming in through the fuel line very easily. It's going to be about $40 more, $40 to $50 more, but the MSR Dragonfly will allow you to simmer and cook and do things because you can control the amount of heat much better. So that's going to be basically the cost of both the Whisperlite International and the MSR Pocket Rocket combined. But if that helps you to avoid buying more and more stuff, that may be a good deal. But I would recommend, I own it, I'm going to keep owning the MSR Whisperlite International stove. It's going to go on with me on many more backpacking trips, on day hikes. It's going to be used for car camping as well. It is a good stove, and I would recommend it to you just as long as you are aware of some of its shortcomings. Thank you very much for your views and your subscriptions. This is the TheGearTester signing off. It's the TheGearTester here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about my experience with and my feelings about the MSR Whisperlite International camp stove. You may be wondering what exactly you get when you purchase the MSR Whisperlite International stove. When you spend your hard-earned money, what do you get for that price? And you're looking at the 4 major components which you receive when you purchase the Whisperlite International stove. You get a great little stuff sack that protects and helps you keep all this stuff together. You get the MSR standard pump, standard fuel pump. You get the actual stove. And then you get some little bonus features, some little additional things here. One of the things you're going to get is a little maintenance kit. It has a little wrench that allows you to maintain your stove. It has some little pump oil that comes with it, again, maintenance. And then you get another little nozzle. This is a little brass nozzle. And one of the cool things about the Whisperlite International stove is it allows you to use white gas, kerosene, and unleaded gas. You're able to use all those liquid fuel bases to power this stove. But